Last beef of the day. Brad Brownell. I know you probably don't know who that is. He's the head coach of the Clemson Tigers, who are having a good year, by the way. They're I don't know if they're in the rankings this week, but they've been in the rankings this year, and deservedly so. They do pretty well in net rankings, which is what we're going to get into. Because Brownell made some comments about the net rankings, which is what, you hear it like with RPI in college baseball. It's really what you see for how the selection is done for the NCAA tournament. Those are the rankings that really matter. The net rankings and KenPom, of course, as well. But he doesn't like the net ranking system because he said on, I believe, on a radio show in Clemson, a couple of things that folks don't understand is that you can manipulate the net. And there's a strength of schedule dynamic where the Big 12 has managed it with their scheduling, their non-conference scheduling. They're playing 300 level teams and winning by 40 and 50 points to increase their offensive and defensive efficiency numbers, which is a big part of the net rankings. So that's why you see teams trying to win at the end of games by 30 or 40 points instead of putting in your walk-ons. Goes on to say, so the Big 12, they're playing 8 non-conference games, 7 non-conference games against low-level teams and increasing their net. Then when they all get into the league, their totals are higher, their net rankings are higher. Their teams are perceived to be a little bit better than they actually are. This is rich, man. I love this. I personally love this because I actually made a tweet out there Monday night at the conclusion of that UNC Miami game. And I said, what happened to the ACC? This conference stinks. It's mid, but to say that would be disrespectful to all things mid. And by the way, Brownell's Clemson Tigers are better than mid. This is a legitimate tournament team and like a top 5 or 6 seed. They're a good team. And then to go and say that the Big 12 is manipulating things to basically imply that the ACC is just as good, if not better, is just silly, man. And he uses a record. I think they're 8-3 ACC teams against Big 12 teams this year. Pitt beat West Virginia. Virginia Tech beat Iowa State, which is an impressive win. But like, what is this, dude? Bowl season? Like, this is what the Big 12 uses against the SEC in bowl games. Like, what are you doing, brother? So I looked at the net rankings to see where his beef is at. Okay. The worst team in the Big 12 in the net rankings is West Virginia, which is 147. Okay. The second worst team is Oklahoma State at 113. So keep that in mind, 113, because the 3 worst teams in the ACC are 139, 140, and 206. Okay, maybe he doesn't like the net rankings on that one. Fine. We'll use a different measuring stick there, Brad. How about we use KenPom instead? You didn't say you had any beef with KenPom, okay? Worst team in the conference, West Virginia, 134th in KenPom. Second worst, Oklahoma State at 100. Let me say that again. West Virginia is 134th and the worst ranked team in the Big 12 in KenPom. The ACC has 3 worse teams in KenPom than the Big 12's worst team. Notre Dame at 135, Georgia Tech at 140, and Louisville at 190. So what metric do you want us to use, Brad? Because by any metrics, your worst teams are worse than our worst teams, and our best teams are better than your best teams. So you know why there's some cupcakes in the non-conference schedule? I'll give you 2 reasons why. First off, every team does it, including your own. And second off, it's because our conference is way better than yours. Your conference stinks, and that's not our problem. There's a reason SEC teams schedule Georgia Southern and Furman and all these cupcakes in that week in November. It's because their conference is really freaking good, just like ours. So yes, we'll take our 9 or 10 teams into the tournament, and you'll take your 4 or 5, and we will do better. And we will overall be a better conference than the ACC. That's just how it is, brother. I don't even need to bring out these maps and these rankings to let you know that the Big 12 is better than the ACC. And that is why there are cream puffs in the non-conference schedule. And you did a pretty good job in your non-con. You had Alabama in there. You had TCU in there, which you beat both those teams, if I'm not mistaken. But you also had Winthrop, UAB, Alcorn State, Queens, and Radford. The best team is ranked 118 in the net rankings. That's UAB. Queens is 272. Alcorn's 292. But we're not going to talk about your non-conference schedule, of course, right? No, you play a gauntlet. Absolutely. Top 50, top 75 net teams every game. Give me a break, Brad. You're having a good season. Ride that out without trying to take down the Big 12 and cause some headlines, because you're not going to win this one, pal. You're not that guy. You are not that guy, and your conference is not that conference.